like the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC too. Britney Spears is kind of cute. We watch TRL on MTV. Everybody three count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Heel Yeah Wrestling. Are You Afraid of the Mark? With Josh Ruckstall. And today joining me is Lince Dorado. Did I say that right?
Lince Dorado.
Lince Dorado. Lince Dorado, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me here and, being a part of this great podcast. I'm excited.
So let's just get right into it here. We're going to cover your career leading up to the big news that the world has been treated to we heard in April 3rd, sorry. April 3rd we found out, so won't spoil anything, but we'll start at the beginning and work our way there.
All right.
So you were trained by, he was known as Claudio, now known as Cesaro, Chris Hero, Mike Quackenbush, and El Pantera. Is that correct?
Yeah, they had a hand in my training. I started at the Chikara Wrestle Factory in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and at that time it was CZW and Chikara put together. And, within the year, I didn't even know they split, but they ended up splitting, and I ended up staying with the Chikara brand. And, like you said, the people who helped train me, head trainer Mike Quackenbush, which guy knows everything and anything about wrestling. And then you guys got, people like Chris Hero, who is just a mathematician, Claudio Castagnoli, who, again, like you said, is Cesaro, who is just a powerhouse in professional wrestling. And then, you had my Lucha Libre counterparts with El Pantera and a guy named Skida, who also was one of the trainers, or who had a hand in training Mike Quackenbush and the Dragon Gate company over there in Japan.
So for people that aren't familiar with Mike Quackenbush, they've probably seen his video. I'm not sure where it was taken, but this video is him talking about wrestling. And it's just one of the best, I'm going to call it a promo because it's what it was, about wrestling. And that's how I got in touch with Chikara, was through that promo of Mike Quackenbush's.
Are you talking about the one where he did, it almost looked like a stand-up? Like it was kind of...
It looked like a TED Talk, kind of.
Yeah, I know the exact same promo you were talking about. It was actually not that long ago, and it was a great promo. Just true feelings about professional wrestling and his vision of what professional wrestling was when he first started as a fan, and later on what he felt professional wrestling was as a performer. So if I recommend everybody go ahead and find that. It should be somewhere on YouTube or Facebook, but it's a great listen.
Then, like you said, you debuted with Chikara. Can you tell us about your time with Chikara? Because it's a lot different of a promotion than most independent promotions out there.
Yeah, definitely. I when I first started, me, Amasas, and Ophidian, we actually were friends outside of wrestling. Before professional wrestling, we actually grew up in the same area. We had the same interest, obviously, with wrestling. Me and Amasas were rivals in amateur wrestling, actually, because we were in the same district, just different schools. And, that's how we got together as far as, the three people in that class who ended up just going into the Chikara Wrestle Factory. But long and behold, I actually had no idea anything about the indies. And, I didn't know how to get into wrestling. I didn't know about wrestling schools. I thought it was super private and secret. And then one day we just showed up, and it was actually at a CZW Best of the Best show. That was my first indie show. And actually one of the guys there who, captivated me was Claudio. Guy looked, $1 million. His music was great. His entrance was great. His gear was great. And, right there and then I was hooked. So I was like, man, this is where I need to be. This is where I need to go. And, I just started there, and it was a great idea and a great opportunity for me to start there at the Chikara Wrestle Factory.
If you were to describe Chikara to somebody who's never seen professional wrestling, how would you describe it? Because you can't put it in the same box that all other independent promotions is in, because it's a lot more heavily influenced on the characters. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's based more on the entertainment part, like WWE sports entertainment. So there's the athleticism and the characters that people get so invested in, and that doesn't mean that Chikara doesn't have great athletes, because there are some gems in there that people either have never heard of or people never thought do Chikara. So that's kind of like a kudos to them. But the when I was there, and that wave of people with like Claudia and all that, I felt like there was a little bit of a drift, and the people who made Jakara what it was then are still there now, but I feel like the product has changed just a little bit. But it still has, like you said, the characters, the entertainment, the comedy, the high flying. It's got a little bit of everything for everybody, and they don't pertain to one style. They pertain to all styles.
Then from there you went to King of Trios. Can you tell us a little about that? Because yet again, that is another different style.
Yeah, the King of Trios was a great idea, a revolutionary idea that nobody, especially on the indies, has done, where teams of three, that's where the trios come from, which is traditionally the Mexican style of tag team wrestling. And, you had guys from all over the world team up: Japan, Mexico, Europe, Canada, all across from the United States, just, come into one building and one show and just showcase exactly why they are there. And actually, that was where my debut was in 2007. I debuted during the King of Trios tournament, teaming up with El Pantera and Psicodelico Jr., who I am actually still great friends with today.
And then as it goes from there, El Pantera, if I'm right, trained you like you said, right?
Yeah, he helped train me, and when I actually took the time to go back down to Mexico with him. He had stayed at his house in his dojo, and we actually just teamed again for a couple times last year and this year in Canada for Lucha Tio, which is a great promotion everybody needs to check out. And it was a great just reliving, just past memories and old times that we had, that we probably, because of where he's living and where I'm living, it's really hard to stay in communication with. But thank God for technology and Facebook and things like that, that we can stay in touch.
And then from there, you went on to FIP, Full Impact Pro Wrestling. Uh, Tell me. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Uh, it seems to be you've made a name for a mainstay name for yourself in FIP. What's it like working there with such a strong WWE hand in the production?
Yeah, definitely. Great question. FIP is down down here in Florida. That's where I'm based out of right now, and it's just a promotion where young, hungry guys that want to make it go to make it, and it's a great way to get into things like Evolve and Dragon Gate USA when it was around here, and a lot of other promotions are looking at FIP as almost like a feeder system. And that's a great explanation to why WWE is now not so much taking over FIP, because I don't think that's what's happening, but they have such a big influence now on what goes on, because in the long run, look at who has made it to WWE in the past, 4 or 5 years. That they all have made their way through FIP, and I'm hoping, one day that that door for me is also going to be open.
There's a lot of big names currently in FIP, and some of them, just to name a few, are Earl Cooter, Fred Ye. What's it like working with guys who have been in the business such as them to feed off of?
Yeah, definitely. We just did this FIP show down here in Florida last weekend, and I actually wrestled as two. I wrestled 2 times. One in the Rumble. Actually, I guess 3 times if you want to call that, if you want to count that. One time in the Rumble, and then I had a one-on-one match with Stitch Osiris that everybody could check out on WWNlive.com. And then, people didn't know, but I was also Unicorn Party in Kaiju Big Battle, which is another thing, another passion of mine that I like to do, which is Kaiju. It's just a lot more fun, less stress, just go out there and, have fun in monster costumes. But going back to the question, FIP right now has some of the most inspiring and most hungry guys, driven guys down there. And it's great to work with guys who not only push themselves, but try to push each other.
So you've been working in FIP for a while now, and now we got word after your TNA tryout, which you had a dark match against Kazarian, and you took part in an escape match, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I showed up one day. Well, they had contacted me about showing interest in using me, and I showed up. It was in October of 2000, I want to say 14, and I was supposed to wrestle Kid Cash, but Kid Cash's flight had got canceled or delayed. I forget which one. And it was either I was going to be out of a match, or they were going to find a replacement. And long and behold, Kazarian was such a nice guy, man. He came right over to me and he was like, "Hey, man, who are you working?" And I said, "Hey, I think I'm supposed to work Kid Cash, but he's not showing up." And he walked away from me and later came back within 5 minutes. He's like, "All right, I got us to work together." And we went out there and had a really great match, great solid match, super super easy to work with. And that had got me the call to come back to do the X Division show, the Extravaganza. That night, I mean, that day was okay. It wasn't my favorite moment at TNA. What happened was somebody in another match did not come or did not show, and they decided instead of doing a three-way because he was originally in a four-way, throwing those three guys in the cage match that I was in. So now you got seven guys in a cage where it was an elimination, and it was kind of like not so much a cluster, but it didn't really make sense. But at that time, I was so eager and excited. I really didn't care. But now looking back, I feel like um, they almost dropped the ball on the opportunity.
So moving from TNA, now you are have it's been announced you're going to be in the WWE Global Cruiserweight Tournament. What was it like getting that news, and did you know what platform that match is going to be on?
Yeah, definitely. I had known about it because I do have friends in WWE right now, in either NXT or the main roster in the office, and there was word for a while, almost last year too, about this idea of doing this cruiserweight only show, and that was it. It was just an idea, nothing set in stone. And then come full circle, I spent a year pretty much knocking on WWE's door, sending emails to everybody that I could, and hopefully somebody could see me. And one day I got an email back, and it was like, "Hey, we have an opportunity for you, and I think you would fit perfect." And long and behold, they gave me the information, and um, I ended up officially announcing it at the FIP show, but the original break of that story, people had pieced the information together because they saw that I was getting super serious with training and super serious with health and fitness and just changing my body to where I thought, it needed to be to stand out as far as like my style of wrestling. And, with the announcement of the Cruiserweight show, people just put two and two together and realized, oh man, this guy's he's preparing for something big. And then eventually I just, let everybody know, hey, I'm going to be in this year's WWE Global Cruiserweight Series.
Some of the names, just to name a few that have been announced for this tournament, are Rich Swann, Johnny Gargano, Zack Sabre Jr., Tommaso Ciampa. What's it like having your name now put to the level of these independent mainstays?
Yeah, I think now because my name is in that bracket, and now you just got to remember too, that's just the tip of the iceberg. They only announce about 8 or 9 names, and with me being one of them. And for me to be in that first wave of names and that first group of people that are just all inspiring, and people are already chomping at the bit to say, "Oh, this guy's gonna win" or "This guy's gonna win," is not so much intimidating, but a good push in the butt because now it's just making me want to work harder and work better and definitely train a lot harder to showcase why they asked me to be there and solidify my spot as one of the best cruiserweights on the show, if not in the world.
So, for those that don't know, you are a luchador. You do lucha libre style wrestling. What does that mean to you? What does lucha libre or being a luchador mean to you?
It's a different. I just had this conversation with one of my other friends, just talking about our style of wrestling and a couple other things as far as wrestling goes. But the lucha libre style is just something exciting, something unique, something that you need to see it to believe it, kind of thing. And right now, there's this big wave of something called what we like to call hybrid luchadors, where you still see that lucha libre action, but with a little bit of a twist, that American twist, that American indie twist. And I pride myself in being trained not only in lucha libre, even though that's my style that I prefer, but I can go and do any style of wrestling, strong style, Japanese, British, American cruiserweight or light heavyweight, whatever you want to call it. Just any style of wrestling, but what I plan to do is use my lucha libre style to my advantage and adapt to who I'm working with, because that's what's going to make the best match. If you can adapt and work together with somebody who is also adaptable, that's what's going to bring out the best match in both guys.
Now, with you using that description, what do you feel of Lucha Underground?
I think it's a great product. I think it's a great alternative to what's on TV right now. I think they had a lot of buzz coming into this year with, just a great um, TV show that they had last year, which is something that people have not seen either in a while or have never seen ever. But I think right now they're going to be a little bit challenged with, NXT after NXT's last pay per view in Dallas takeover, because that pay per view, I watched it actually with Rich Swann and another guy named Jay Rios, who is one of my road buddies. And almost after every match, we were like, "Holy crap, man! Match of the year, match of the year!" And that was what sparked us to, be better and train harder and just push ourselves and push each other to be the best athletes and wrestlers that we can. But going back to the Lucha Underground show, I think they have a lot of great guys that I'm friends with there. I think they're very unique, and they just continue to be unique with different concepts and different matches that they have. You can see that a lot of athleticism, and that what I was talking about earlier with that hybrid wrestling or hybrid luchador with Pentagon Junior and Drago and Phoenix and things like and people like that. And it's just exciting that they are bringing lucha libre to mainstream pop culture, and that's essentially what wrestling has become nowadays, pop culture.
Can you talk a little bit more about Lucha Tio?
Yeah, Lucha Tio is a great company over in Canada. They're based out of Toronto. That's what the TO stands for. It's actually started with one of the guys who I met a couple years ago down here in Florida. He was Canadian, but he was down here for a tryout of some sort. And one day, he called me out of nowhere. He was like, "Hey, man, I have this idea, and I think you would fit." And long story short, we ended up making a deal, and I ended up going over there. And he was just, the product was just so unique, especially to the Canadian fans, that the Canadian fans have embraced it and enjoy the product. And he has continued to do at least two shows a month over there in Canada, where other promotions now want to partner with him and put on shows. He's brought in guys like Blue Demon, Pantera, myself. He has Vampiro. He's going to have some other guys there this month, Ricardo Rodriguez. So it's not only a Lucha Libre show, it's mostly a Lucha Libre show, but they have a little bit of everything for everybody, no matter what age, what race, or what wrestling you prefer. Everybody go check them out at Lucha Tio. They're on Twitter and Instagram.
Who out of the current, we'll say mainstream product that wrestling has to offer, would you feel like you would match up very well against?
Are you talking about person or are you talking about company?
Oh, let's go with both. We'll start with person and then we'll transition over to company.
Okay, definitely. I think the one person, and I just had a small taste of it on the Indies when he was on there, that I think that we would just have a stellar killer match would be El Generico or Sami Zayn. We had a couple interactions on the Indies, mostly in multi-man matches, scrambles pretty much. And, from what we did, it was just like some great chemistry there. Another person that I always have and enjoy my matches with is a guy named AR Fox. Almost like an old school ECW Rey Mysterio psychosis feel to it. And every match that we've had, I've never walked away thinking, man, that was a bad match, or oh, I could have done this different kind of thing. Um, guys like Kalisto, who I've known before he even got signed as Samurai del Sol. We had great interactions, and we're both similar to the Lucha Libre style and that hybrid wrestling that I think we can all the audience who would watch us. Anybody on NXT right now, Finn Balor and or Prince Devitt, Hideo or Kenta, whoever you want to call him. Nakamura is just an awesome guy that I love to watch, and I would love to be in the ring just to challenge myself and see if I can do that style. But as far as companies, my main goal right now is to go back to Mexico, and well, obviously WWE. Don't get me wrong, but Mexico right now would be my main goal. I don't know if it would be AAA or CMLL. It's still up in the air. But there's a great promotion right now in Tijuana that I'm very, very interested in wrestling for, called The Crash. And I don't want to give too much details out, but I do know Rey Mysterio and Conan do have a hand in it. And there has been talks about bringing me and a couple other guys down. So that's all I can say about that right now. But let's fingers crossed that one day I'll be either over there or in the WWE.
Just to talk about Sami Zayn real quick, his match with Nakamura, it just goes to show how Sami Zayn can adapt to any style and be put against anything.
That match was so ridiculous, and I looked over at Rich Swann and I said, "This is the American Indies right now on WWE TV," and we kind of like stared at each other with this blank face. And then after the match was done, we had to stand up and just say match of the year. That match was just, from overall entrance, presentation to the moves and the ending, it was just a great match, great storytelling, great hard-hitting action. There was even a Fight Forever chant. Like, there's never been a Fight Forever chant before. And, that match got it. And I recommend, if you have not seen that match, you need to go right now, find it somewhere, preferably on the WWE Network. And that's not a plug. They don't pay me for that. But, you need to go and check that out. They don't pay me for that yet. I'll say that.
Yeah, the chant "Fight Forever" was amazing, and
that has to be a shirt. That needs to be a shirt.
100%. And the only thing that I would negatively say is the women's match came off flat after that, just because the crowd was so exhausted.
It should, and we had talked about that too. It wasn't poor booking. Because after that we even thought, oh man, I really hope they don't put the girls on next, because how are you gonna follow that? If I were to do it, and I'm not saying I'm the best booker or even a booker, but that match, the women's match, should have been first, and then the Nakamura match and Zayn should have been the semi-main right before the title match. But the reason that was in that particular spot was because it was for a title and it did mean something. And don't get me wrong, that match was just awesome too. The finish where Bayley passed out, and Bayley's a great competitor. When she passed out and they didn't check her arm, it made it just look more realistic and believable. And I think that's where wrestling is becoming now, a little bit more athletic and a little bit more believable. And, even after that, the Joe and Finn Balor match was awesome with, the blood in the first 2 minutes of the match, and they just let them keep going. It showed that you can still be PG, but still have great wrestling on the TV.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So what does the future hold for Lince Dorado, other than the WWE Cruiserweight tournament? Have you heard word maybe who you're going to be facing and what platform, if it's FIP or what have you, that you'll be facing your first round competitor?
Yeah, I have not heard anything yet. I think it's still in the works. I do know when the tapings will be. As far as, if you do make it past the qualifier matches, I really don't know if I even have to qualify or if I already have qualified. I'm more in the dark as everybody else. But, as far as what my future is going to hold, ever since I have announced it, my bookings have gone up, which is great because that just means more money for my family and my house. Because, that's why I really do the wrestling. I used to do it as a passion before, but now I do it for my family. Because I'm making a great income from it. But, I hope to just keep expanding and keep traveling and doing what I love to do, and, that showcase the Lucha Libre style and show that I can actually go out there and have great matches with anybody and everybody.
Perfect. And just to end, is there anything you'd like to plug? Any upcoming dates or any merch or anything?
Yeah, I mean, you can check out all my dates. I usually post them on my Facebook or Twitter. But I am on all social media, so you can find me on Instagram at Lince_Dorado. You can find me at Twitter at Perfect10LD, or you can find me on Facebook at, Facebook.com/Lince Dorado. You could also get any one of my new shirts, Lucha World Order. That's my new brand. That's my new group at ProWrestlingTees.com/Lince Dorado or Lucha Swag. Okay, or if anybody ever wants to just chat or email me any questions, fan art, or just any hate mail, that's fine too. You can email me at perfect10ld@gmail.com, and any promoters that want to hit me up, and you could do the same there. I'm very, technology savvy, so I try to be quick to answer anybody and everybody, whether it's a fan or a promoter. But I love Pokemon, I love video games, and I love wrestling.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Lince Dorado, for your time and coming on the podcast.